Chapter 10 of Psychopomp Drive. Written by Janeen Leese-Taylor. Read aloud by SkyAsimaru. Chapter 10 The Reason. The following days quickly rolled into weeks. Long, dark evenings stretched out before them, one after the other, lasting until the first streaks of light touched the arch of the west gate. Over time, the work became easier, the training harder. Finley heard the sound of his breath echoing back at him as he swung his battle-axe downwards, the resulting thud of it hitting its target, bringing a smile to his face. The all-white figure of the mannequin crumpled under the blow, the diagonal slash cleaving the plastic body completely in two. The parts clattered against the bright tiles as he caught his breath, letting the head of the axe fall to rest against the floor by his feet. Sweat glistened across his doll, cooling him from his exertions as Sassy cheered in the back of his mind. He raised his head at the sound of clapping behind him, twisting on the spot to see who it was that had joined him in the occupation room. Alvaro stood in the open doorway, bringing his gloved hands together and whistling appreciatively. Dressed in a multicolored shirt, which he had tucked in over his exorbitant torso, the man looked much more relaxed than Finley was used to seeing him, so much more alive. His thick beard and mustache formed one single furry accessory across his face and neck. His hair was short and mussed to one side, and the crinkles around his eyes suggested that, although the man appeared grumpy by nature, he smiled often.
"Not bad, Katina,"
he remarked, stepping inside and letting the door fall closed behind him with a dull thunk.
"Reich and Abby wondered where you disappeared to after the patrol this evening. There's some extra dumplings with your name on them."
Finley drew the back of his hand across his forehead, letting out a tired exhale as he rested his reaper down against the floor.
"I just wanted to get a bit more practice in before tomorrow," he replied. "I need to be sure that I've got these steps down."
The man's facial hair crawled up his face when he grinned, outlining the shape of his expression.
"Ah, you'll do fine,"
he dismissed with a good-natured snort.
"You've been coming out with us for weeks now. You won't even know yourself when you're actually armed this time."
Finley let his green eyes fall on the axe again, studying the working of the dark grain.
"I suppose that's true," he replied. "But still, I can't help this little lingering doubt that something's going to go wrong out there."
Finley's eyes flicked back towards Alvaro as he took a seat on the rack at the room's center. Letting out a loud groan, the larger man laid back against the wooden panels, carefully avoiding the row of spikes as the newest Amarini studied him with bright eyes, suddenly pensive.
"I'm going to tell you something, and I'm going to need your word that it doesn't leave this room."
Finley's ears pricked up as he drew a cross over his chest.
"Hope to die,"
he joked. Alvaro chuckled to himself, adjusting his weight.
"When I joined this little team of Utstota way back in the 70s, they pretty much already had their crap together, as it were,"
he started, running a large hand over his thick, walrus-like mustache.
I was the 7th Amarini, the last one to arrive before you did. They handed me this hammer and just expected me to go play whack-a-mole with things that didn't exist. If I'm honest, I've never wanted to throw up more in my life.
The man laid his interlocked fingers across his ample chest and stomach.
I was reeling from the shock of it. One minute I was fighting to keep my boat upright, and then the next...
He untangled his fingers to wave them in the air around him.
I'm in this bizarre place.
Finley frowned, watching the man's expression carefully as he spoke.
It must have happened really suddenly.
The older man let out a huff of hot air through his nose.
No one ever really knows when they're gonna kick it, Finn. Just bad luck that I was out in that boat when the storm hit.
Just bad luck. Was that all it was? Bad luck that he was buying a ring that day? That he was so excited he had to go in as soon as the shop opened? Bad luck that his killer just happened to choose that store to rob?
I'm not sure that the phrase bad luck really covers it for me.
Finley disagreed. Alvaro let out a smoker's sigh, slapping a large hand against his chest as he cleared his throat.
Look, Invop, however you want to paint it, ending up in a place like this would be difficult for anyone. Yet here you are, still pushing onwards, still working hard.
He raised his eyes to meet those of the man opposite.
And all of that, it's for her, isn't it? That girl you left behind.
Finley fell silent at the man's words, kneeling down to grasp the handle of his axe and picking it up again. He felt its weight in his hands, felt where the balance lay. He tightened his grip, and the wood burned against the calluses that had formed in a jagged row along the bottoms of his fingers.
"Hey, are you ready to try again, Finn?"
Sassy asked softly.
I need to be good enough,
Finley breathed, running a thumb over the wood.
Good enough to protect her from those things, to give her the life that she deserves.
And that's why you'll do fine tomorrow,
Alvaro replied, groaning as he peeled himself up off the rack. He patted the fronts of his jeans as if to chase off invisible dust bunnies.
Because you're doing it for someone special. You don't have any choice but to succeed.
Finley scoffed, shaking his head in disbelief as he let his arms fall to his sides again.
Rat bastard, he swore, bemused. What the hell kind of mind game was that? You trying to manipulate me into believing in myself or something?
The large man shrugged, his shirt threatening to come out from where he had tucked it into his jeans.
I'm not smart enough for any of that nonsense, he answered. I was just trying to get that scruffy little head of yours on straight. Can't have the star of the show getting stage fright before opening night. This cool vara hemske.
Finley couldn't help the small smile that began to form on the corner of his mouth. His tail moved back and forth in lethargic waves as he watched the other spirit heading towards the doorway again.
Was any of that true? He called after him. What you said about when you first got here?
Alvaro let out a soft sigh, tapping out a rhythm on the doorway with the knuckles of his right hand.
Every word,
he said, shoving the door open again with the toe of his boot. He tilted his chest back towards him.
"You're doing just fine out there. Tomorrow won't be any different."
"Thanks, Alvy," Finley said, and picked up the axe again with bolstered energy. "One more hour, Sassy, then we'll turn in. I think we've nearly got it." Adopting the stance he had practiced 100 times before, Finley twisted around himself to cut at the air, his legs wobbling as he struck at nothing in particular. He held fast, pressing both feet into the floor for balance.
Roger, Captain!
Sassy sang, the weapon beginning to glow with a faint purple light.
Let's go grab another mannequin!
To be continued in Chapter 11.